deciding what to write about, trying to figure out what it's all about. Existentialist, am I worth anything or just a scout? I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. Spending time all alone, sending my songs to the phone, dreaming of a better home, while focused on trying to hone this craft, witchcraft. I hope the brujas let this last. I don't know.
That was the great sounds of Watts with Outside on WNHHLP 103.5 FM New Haven. Myself, Prestige, with my partner in crime, Long Island raised, Elm City made, EZ Blues is in the building. EZ Blues, you're better with introductions more than me. Who do we have with us today on Behind the Brand? Drum roll.
Ladies and gentlemen, I underdressed for this interview. I should be having a bow tie. I should be speaking properly. And I will do this introduction the way it should be done. For reasons alone, we would all dress up in our finest way proportion. It wasn't classical for us because it was happening at that moment, but it's now classical for you guys because you're in the future. And in those moments, you have this beautifulness where all the instruments line up gorgeously and all the different perspectives sit down and have a conversation. And through that, true healing happens. That is truly the most important thing about music. And that is truly the most beautiful light that is in this person's soul. I've been able to actually bond with this person for the past couple of weeks. I believe it is an honor and a privilege for her to even think I'm anywhere close to her musical league. Thank you for punching down for me. I appreciate it. But please put your hands together. Not if you're driving. If you're driving, keep your hands at 10 and 2. No accidents. But Annalisa, how are you? Welcome to the show.
Hey, great to be on. Thank you so much for having me.
Of course. Of course. Of course. Well, let's tell everybody a little bit about what you do and why you're here today. One of the most important things is you're a soul of music. So you're attached and you play an instrument that's a little bit different. Everyone has seen this instrument, but it gets more mislabeled than when Preston and I are walking down a street and people call me Preston and him Dustin. It's tough. Like, it's a tough mislabel. So, you know, why do people call you a violinist and why is that wrong?
I play the viola, which one of my friends affectionately refers to as the big violin. So it's helpful to know that it's not big enough to sit down. It's just on the shoulder, but a little bigger. And if you've ever had experience with choirs in church or in school, it's sort of like the alto part. It's still a higher voice, but it's the lower, higher voice. And actually, here's a little tip. If you're ever flying on a plane with a viola and you call it a violin, you're more likely to get it on the plane and into the overhead compartment. So sometimes I call it a violin just for, you know, my own purposes.
That's awesome. I respect the hustle. I respect the hustle. No, it's incredible. And I love all types of music. I love music from every type of aspect. And what's really, really cool, and I'm going to go a little bit off topic here, something I wanted to talk to later on in the show, but you actually bring classical music to the community, and not like to the community that can afford classical music, but to the actual community. And you do it through an outreach. And I think that is absolutely glorious. And I know that, like, through your organization that you guys have seen grades wind up going up and different things like that. There has always been a connection with brainwaves and classical music. I would like to know from an accomplished classical musician why you think that is.
Yeah, so my full-time job is at a local nonprofit Music Haven, where we provide completely free lessons and instruments and transportation. This year, our enrollment is up to about 90 students from all around New Haven. There are no auditions to get in, nothing like that. There's a wait list, and you have to be eligible for Husky to be eligible to enroll in the program. And these kids often start when they're 6 or 7 years old. And once they're with us, we're with them until they graduate from high school. So we've had our first few classes of high school graduates, kids that have been in the program up to 12, 13 years by the time they leave us. And that's a real honor and a privilege for me to get to stick with these kids and watch them turn from bright-eyed children into savvy teenagers, and then try to help them on to their next chapter, which for all of our graduates so far has included four-year college. And thank you. Yep. Applause goes to them and their families too, because without, grandma, grandpa, aunties, uncles, mom, dad, like any of those people in their lives, like, it really takes a community to support young people. And classical music, the more I've taught it, the more impressed I've been by how many different parts of the brain it uses all at the same time. You have the literacy of seeing music in this code on the page, and then you're interpreting that into sounds, but also into which fingers you're putting down. So you have the numbers of the fingers mapped onto the alphabet of the music notes, mapped onto the up and down spatial awareness. And we haven't even gotten into the side to side spatial awareness of rhythm, which is not only side to side on a piece of paper, it's also timing that you have to feel in your gut and in your body. And at this point, we haven't even talked about listening to yourself or listening to the people around you, or even just building up your posture muscles to hold yourself tall when maybe you've been hunched over a school desk or a computer or a phone all day. And at Music Haven, kids don't just come for lessons, they hang out with their friends, and it's a no phone zone. So they're playing chess, or they're working on homework with older students, or they're getting little lessons from older students, or doing yoga, or just like hanging out and being kids and like giggling. So there are so many different parts of their lives that they get to, grow in and challenge, and also hopefully be like held and safe when they're doing the Music Haven experience.
Great to hear.
That's absolutely awesome. And for those who really don't understand, those who are just listening to pop radio, classical music has been a formula for many things. You can even look at something like on Hulu, they have the Wu-Tang show, and the whole theme of that, the second season, is Wu-Tang, RZA finding all the different voices and always having the narrative of he's creating a symphony, and he needs the perfect instruments to overlap to be able to tell the story correctly. So for those people who are like, oh, I only listen to hip hop, I don't listen to classical. Well, one of the recreators, based an entire project that changed the face of music based off of classical music. Anyone who's ever listened to any type of metal is literally in the classical format. That's why you have such great transitions as per Symphony and Metallica and different things like that. So that is, to this day, I will state that, classical music is by far one of the most important things. And you don't necessarily need words to get that point across. And classical has always been that. The my favorite song, Hall of the Mountain King, you can feel when it's played right, you can feel the intensity. You have that anxiety build up. And, I remember being in kindergarten and hearing the story of, running into the cave, and out comes the Mountain King to chase, and, you'll have to escape out of the cave. You can feel that every time it's played through. And I needed no other words than those few to feel that. That's why the classical music has always got an incredible place in my heart. So thank you for that.
Makes me think of a couple different things, both that the viola is an instrument that plays sort of the middle range of notes, like cello's got the bass line, violin's got the melody. So you can always sort of hear them, but viola adds like texture and energy, which is something I always really admire in hip hop or in pop, when you sit down and you really listen to all the layers. Like when you hear a song, you're not necessarily going to notice what is that really cool sound the producer put in until you listen to it 5 times, 10 times, and you're sitting there and you're listening to the layers and you're like, oh man, where they put that clap or that snap or that hey or that sound I can't even identify, I love it. Like, thank you for that sound, even though it's like in the middle and you wouldn't necessarily hear it on the first time through. And then another way that I feel like classical is relevant to our daily lives is movie soundtracks. Like some of them are so iconic. Like Jaws and Star Wars and Superman and Psycho. But yeah, if you've ever like done video production work or you've been making a video and you put that soundtrack in, it just really elevates it. And a lot of that has a lot of classical influence for creating those atmospheres and that anxiety and tension you were talking about.
No, it definitely does, and I love John Williams. I mean, obviously, huge Star Wars fan, but on top of that, I remember growing up, going through different music programs, and like having that debate that I felt, and I still feel, John Williams is like the Puff Daddy of classical music, as per he takes a little bit of everyone else's sound and style and he creates his own. So you constantly have that like, oh, I feel like I remember this, but it's a John Williams piece, and not say, someone that's totally blanking my mind right now. I was thinking like a Wagner or something like that. It's really, really cool for me. But I also always got looked at like I was a complete and total geek for comparing John Williams and P. Diddy. But
that's the
my
first
life.
comparison I ever heard about them. You threw me off as well too.
It is what it is. I mean, I compare P. Diddy to Shakespeare to P. Diddy too. So
I was trying to think of like different metaphors to express my rock lottery experience. That like, for me, it's classical music is like knowing the Julia Child cookbook, like front to back, and you can do every classic French recipe in there. And then, I signed up for Rock Lottery because I also wanted to learn how to cook maybe some other cuisines, and they let me just like jump in the kitchen, mess around. Or like I was like a Rembrandt recreation specialist, but then I get to like be in the room with a bunch of like Basquiat's and get to like run some experiments. So it's been really fun for me.
And she gets to hang out with a Pollock like me, so that's fantastic. Absolutely no rules, whole lot of mess. It's great.
Well, I got a question. Easy, I'm sorry to cut you off, but for those who are unaware of just about how the process of the Rock Lottery goes, so just introducing it for the first time, since you guys are part of it and are finalists, just please tell our audience, how's that drawing take out? How awkward is meeting everyone for the first time? Just a little bit of those experiences, guys, just from each of your point of view.
Yeah, for me, I heard about it on there's a New Haven Discord, and somebody posted the Reddit link. So it was like a multiple internet situation for me to hear about it. And then you sign up and get sorted into a group with other local musicians. Each band definitely has a drummer, a guitarist, a bassist, and a singer. And then you have people in the other category, which is me. I signed up for like violin, viola. I can play enough keys in a band, background vocals. I'm going to make my background vocal debut on Friday, which I'm nervous, excited about.
You'll be fine.
I'll be fine. And then I met up with I suggested a Zoom, and one of our members was like, I've gotten through this entire time without using Zoom, so I'm going to try to keep that up. And I was like, that's awesome. I think that's our bassist, Mike, who was like, I don't even have Zoom capability. I was like, good, this is good. So we went to the Acropolis Diner and just like chatted with Mike and Kelly and I was like, these people are so nice. That was my first impression. And then we got together with all 5 of us and started playing. And I was like, these people are so nice. And I just really enjoyed the experimentation together. And I feel like our band has done a nice job with hearing people's ideas and giving them a shot, like being collaborative and doing a nice mix of like one person will take on one challenge. There are 4 challenges that you have to take on. So people rate things, but then we come together to turn it into a real thing.
That's beautiful to hear. What are your guys' band name?
Oh, we're Bomb Pop, but we're not a band. We're not a band. We're a cult. We're a cult. Get it right. We're a cult.
Okay, that's very unique.
Well, we're very unique. We're a little different, and that's fine. But once the Bomb Pop gets you, you're hooked.
They do have pre-formed band names, and you're allowed to change it, but they will judge you if they think you made it worse by changing it.
Well, like to me, I love the band name aspect of it because that's where I try to figure out the character I'm going to play based on the band name. And once I can figure out the character, I can pretty much figure out any place that I'm going to put something ridiculous. And P, you know me for a long time.
Yeah.
I like some ridiculous things.
Absolutely.
You know, I'm going to push the envelope two, 3 times. If they gave me a wireless mic at this thing, it would be terrifying for everybody.
Oh, Lord.
But me. I would have fun, but everyone else, probably not. Probably not. I'd probably be making drinks and like.
He brings the theatricality. That is a true statement.
You got to have fun, and you know that's the key. And I love this as a community aspect. It's something that this is actually my second time doing it. This is my 3rd year involved in it, and anytime I get to create or have a good time, I'm gonna create and have a good time. And P, you've known me a long time, and music has pretty much saved my life. It is everything that I am in its purest and most amazing form. So anytime I have a chance to give back to music, I'm going to. And anytime I have a chance to give back to music in the community that I love and live in, definitely going to.
And Easy Blues, you're doing that right now on WNHHLP 103.5 FM New Haven. Myself, Prestige, and my partner in crime, Long Island raised, Elm City made, Easy Blues in the building behind the brand with Annalisa. Continue, Easy, sharing these awesome stories.
No, it's a great experience, and even there is the documentary that we obviously can't share on this show because there's words in there. I might even say a couple of them, but there's the documentary that talks about the experience and talks about, well, what happens if you're teamed up with someone that you don't necessarily get along with. It's 2 weeks. 2 weeks. You find reasons to do whatever or whatnot, or you get a little crazy like me and gets yourself so wrapped up in the actual like competition of it and figuring out how you can be as bizarre as possible. Because this is no rules fighting for me. Like I can poke someone in the eye. Like I can kick them where the sun don't shine. Like this is perfect. Like there's literally no rules.
Metaphorically.
I mean, there's a couple maybe, I'm saying some of the younger cult members, they might get poked or kicked. It might happen. I don't know exactly where the live performance is going to go yet. But you have this complete total freedom. And Annalise and I really clicked in the fact where I love, this has never been done in Rock Lottery before. So let's win, lose, or draw. Let's have our Rock Lottery moment, And that's always that's been my key for, especially this year, as like I'm just trying to do the next best thing. And we were the first Rock Lottery band to feature the viola, and we featured the heck out of it because Annalise is phenomenal. Like such an incredible musician. She came over my house to help plot one of the secret weapons that we have for Friday. And if you want to know, you want to show up at the State House this Friday for the Rock Lottery finals. Want to make sure you're there. It's going to be a great time. Tip your bartender. But on top of that, we overlaid the entire track, playing each and every part other than the vocal melody on the viola and the djembe. And I'm sure if she wanted to, she would have just flipped over the viola and played the percussional aspect. But she didn't have to because I had the djembe there. But I'm not putting it past her. I definitely think she could have done every single part on the viola.
And honestly, might have sounded better. I have terrible djembe technique. I was trying to get the djembe to resonate the way I wanted to, and then it just threw off my rhythm. And I was like, if I had more time, also I'm a classically trained musician, so if I had more time, I would do 10 takes of amateur djembe to get the least amateur one I could. But, we're trying not to let the perfect be the enemy of the good.
Right. And I love that because I live in that world. I live in the I just want it to be perfect enough. It needs to be completely clean, but I want some mud on the boot. Completely all white, clean, but just a little bit of mud makes the outfit. And that's kind of how I deal with the philosophy. But what was it like for like a first year? I mean, I remember my first year was different because it's not something that I haven't been doing before. You're classically trained and you're coming in, and this is your real first experience of even taking what you know into a format like this. You know, what was that kind of like?
I had this suspicion going into it that I might be more competent than I realized, because music school has a really deep focus on your weaknesses and your mistakes, especially orchestra auditions. I'll bring this back around to Rock Lottery, but the way the first round of an orchestra audition works is the committee at the orchestra picks 3 of the most difficult sections of orchestra music. They're anywhere from 45 seconds to 90 seconds long. And then everybody comes in behind a screen, which is good because adding the screen for anonymity really helped like women and people of color, and women of color get jobs in orchestras that had historically discriminated a lot. So you go behind your screen and then you play your maybe 3 minutes total, and then you leave. And you're getting compared with 30 to 150 other viola players playing the exact same 3 minutes of music. And in that situation, it's really your mistakes that knock you out rather than your inspiration that keeps you in. So I had a really big focus on the deficiencies, whatever they were, no matter how small. And so I left school sort of feeling like I can do this. And then I have had, 10 years of career outside of school. And I'm like, I can do this. And then going into rock music, I was like, I bet I can do this. I have a lot of training. And so, there are some moments of being like, man, I cannot figure out that Joni Mitchell note. Why is it escaping me? And then I, downloaded the music on my phone real quick because I'm such a visual person from that training. Though actually a lot of classical musicians are more ear-based than I am. Just like as an individual, I'm a visual learner, which is kind of unusual for a musician. But as soon as I had those notes in front of me, it was like, there it is. So everybody's got their little tips and tricks that they need to get from point A to point B. And you all have made it like really easy and comfortable to figure out what that is. Like nobody's giving me side eye during my 5 minutes of figuring out what I needed. And that's just been really fun.
And it's been a beautiful experience to watch. I say you are definitely the all-star of our little of our cult. You are the all-star. You're the queen of the cult.
I appreciate that, but I definitely don't feel that way, and that's probably part of what makes it work. So we've got
there you go.
A crew that all contributes a lot.
Exactly.
And one of the really special things about my job at Music Haven is that I'm employed full-time with a salary, not only as an educator, but as a performer. So every morning, 10:30 to 1, I'm rehearsing with 3 of the other resident musicians, and we are the Haven String Quartet, the resident ensemble at Music Haven. And we play a couple dozen concerts a year, both formal chamber series ones. We spend the meat of our rehearsal time like really fine-tuning and polishing up our Beethoven, or this year our concerts feature a lot of living composers, women composers, composers of color, so polishing their works so they really shine from the concert stage, but also retirement homes. Or we're gonna, November 4th at 5 p.m., we're gonna have a pop-up in Union Station. So if you're there at rush hour on November 4th, you'll see us playing a little bit of light classical, but also a really amazing Latin piece that was just composed for us, or pop and rock covers. And we love being able to get out into the community and play a variety of stuff as well as our concert stuff. But the quartet is this super democratic, collaborative way of playing that the 4 of us, we all have different notes in front of us, but we know each other's stuff well enough to make it overlap and come together. And we always practice trying out everyone's ideas. Because sometimes you might think to yourself privately, no way. And then you try it and really give it a shot and you're like, oh, wait, that's genius. Yes, well, let's keep it. So I think having been in that situation where we have these 4 equal performers who are all throwing their ideas out there, giving it our all, and it really sets the template for that mutual respect and collaboration. And this year, for the first time, we've got all of our kids playing in groups like that too. So we're really excited for how that's going to affect the young musicians to be able to say their ideas together and make friends playing in these little groups, stuff like that.
That's incredible. That is so cool. I'm a fan, and I will probably be there November 4th, because I also like Union Station. Their Dunkin' Donuts is awesome. But no, it's what is your favorite classical piece or composer to play?
It's like asking me to choose my favorite flavor of ice cream, which a lot of people have a favorite flavor, but I've never been able to pick, and it really depends on my mood. Right now,
That's awesome.
I want to say that I'm really enjoying this Beethoven we're playing right now. It's a piece that he wrote after falling seriously ill and stopping composing for a while. And when he recovered, he didn't think he was going to recover. And he wrote this like 20-minute slow movement that he wrote an inscription at the top, which was thanking God for, it was a song of thanksgiving to God and essentially a prayer. And that movement or that chapter of this bigger piece is super spiritual and one of the most gorgeous things ever written. And so that's really deeply moving and coming out of this experience we've all been having over the last 18 months to play a piece about recovery and sort of miraculous recovery and thanks. It feels really meaningful. But at the same time, I'm super excited to play 5 fantasy pieces by Samuel Coleridge Taylor, Black European composer named after Samuel Taylor Coleridge, the poet. He's got a really amazing piece that we have coming up on our December concert. So I'm super excited to dive into that as well. The Beethoven, we will be performing on Saturday, October 30th at the Unitarian Society of New Haven on Hartford Turnpike at 7:30 p.m. And that is a pay what you can concert ticket. So we have a suggested donation of $25. But regardless, all of the funds from those tickets always go straight into our free after school programming for the kids. So if you're interested in that or any of our future concerts, the ones either out on the town or in the church, which is an amazing space, they've been great partners to us. Our website is musichavenct.org.
I also love the fact that Friday night you're doing the rock lottery craziness, and then Saturday you're going and you're doing the quartet. You do that often. For the first round, you were like in between rehearsals to perform at the Schubert, and here you are, dressed like a bomb pop, playing the viola on the stage of Cafe 9 in the middle of these rehearsals.
I was so lucky that the New Haven Symphony didn't have a rehearsal on Friday night, so I could rehearse on Thursday and rehearse on Saturday at the Schubert, and then have my Friday night free to be, as you said, dressed as a bomb pop on stage.
It's incredible, and I love that you get to walk between these two worlds simultaneously. It's gotta be a ride. Like I kind of live it vicariously through you, and I really appreciate that. But what is it like kind of walking, both of those worlds, literally like moment after moment?
I think variety, that old adage of variety is the spice of life is really good because it keeps you appreciating the different situations, to have that variety. You'll find me in my car listening to, 94.3 or, pop radio or hip hop radio. Like I've always been someone who really finds a lot of joy and passion and interest in the music that's coming out today as well. So for me, it also feels like really fun to participate in actually making that instead of just being a listener. Something else I do at Music Haven to balance out that the classical music composers are often European, often men, often died a few hundred years ago. Not always. And we're putting a much bigger focus on composers of color and women composers and living composers to connect with that really important part of culture. But I also do a request recital where my students can play any song they want, you know, gospel or something from the radio or something from a movie. I've had some really great Disney songs. And so that's really important to me because I want my students to know that whatever musical cultures they're bringing into the room are a priority, and they're important and they're beautiful and they're valid, not just the music they might get in sort of a traditional school or music school setting. And I've also learned a ton from them. A lot of my favorite pieces now to teach and to perform, and by pieces, I mean like Remember Me from Coco or Lovely by Billie Eilish and Khalid, really great strings piece. These came from students who were like, this is the piece I want to play, Miss Annalisa. And then 4 years later, I'm teaching them to all the kids because they sit great on the string instruments. They're inspiring, they're fun. And in those ways, like being a collaborative teacher has really paid off for me as well as for my students.
Annalisa, tell me about the Kronos Quartet. I've been doing a little bit of research just throughout this interview, and they seem to be very popular. And I think you perform with them. I think they're in San Francisco. Tell me about that experience.
Yeah, the Kronos Quartet has been around, like championing all kinds of different new music for a long time now. They've been trailblazers and have done this remarkable thing where they keep being trailblazers after decades and after a ton of success. They didn't just rest on their laurels. I had a chance to perform with them when they came through Providence, Rhode Island. This really amazing piece about Syria when there was conflict happening there that was composed by Kareem Rustam for a professional quartet. Kronos played that part, and then there was a part that was for a second professional quartet, and then the third part was for students. And at the time, I was a fellow in the Community Music Works program, so I played like backup on the student parts, helping those students out. It's a gorgeous piece, and it was really special to play with them. Kronos also commissions a ton. So we recently played At the Purchaser's Option by Rhiannon Giddens, who you might know from the Carolina Chocolate Drops. She got commissioned by them to do a string version of her song At the Purchaser's Option, and it works really great on strings. So there's this little bluegrass string quartet meeting, and that's a really beautiful song, but also with a really amazing message. That's from the Kronos 50 for the Future project. Nice.
Any other famous quartets that you have worked with throughout your career, if I can barely speak?
Kronos is definitely at the top of my bio for famous quartet reasons. I had a lot of really substantial quartets come through the conservatory I went to, but I was usually in the audience rather than on the stage for those educational experiences. So I would say that a lot of my growth happened after I left school.
I know you also did some work in Cleveland, am I correct? It was How was that? Like, how much fun did you have?
It's always a mix between fun and nerves, but definitely the fun outweighed it. Yeah, playing with my teachers at that time was really exciting. I was playing on a faculty concert at my music school at the time, and playing chamber music with these like gods of the field is just unbelievable. There was this recording of a piece by Tchaikovsky called Souvenir de Florence that's written for 2 violins, 2 violas, and 2 cellos. And it was sort of a bootleg recording. It wasn't made publicly available. And somebody had like snuck it out of the recording department. And when I was in school, it would make its way from like MP3 player to computer, because it was one of those faculty concerts with 3 Cleveland Orchestra members and 3 of their students. And it was just the best recording. So I love that sort of bootleg background passing around like oh, this is the one with Lynn and Des. And yeah.
And this is the one with Annalisa on Behind the Brand on WNHHLP 103.5 FM New Haven, myself, Prestige, and my partner in crime, dancing because he's so excited for Friday for the Rock Lottery. EZ Blues is in the building. Sir, I'm going to tip this hat off to you. I see the light bulb on top of your head. Go right ahead, man.
Well, no, it's super, super interesting to me. I love every aspect of music, and I love the classical feel to it. I also really dig the fact that you're pulling the classical roots from popular music and showing that to kids, because that is so important. So thank you for that. It's great.
I appreciate that.
No, very cool. Now moving forward and continuing through, do you see yourself starting to put together with the kids kind of, we'll say, performing out projects, or is it just going to stay in Music Haven?
It's been a more internal year because of COVID that we're doing some in person, and all of our performances are going to be a little smaller, but my colleague Patrick Doan, who's leading the chair music program, is already planning library concerts. We're hoping to, get into the new Q House, the new branch of the library over there. The libraries have been an amazing partner for us all throughout our history. And we've also performed at Mary Wade Home and Casa Otoñal, and those communities always make us feel so welcome. So yeah, we're definitely hoping to take the kids out to get those experiences. And it's always really enjoyable for us when we're playing both the classical pieces and also when we start playing La Bamba and people start dancing. So I definitely hope to keep the kids getting those experiences. And I know Patrick has been really thoughtful about hearing from the kids. Like, our first quartet coaching of the year was, what are your 3 favorite pieces that you've played, but also what are your 3 favorite songs just from anywhere right now? So he's being really thoughtful about continuing that tradition of hearing from the kids what inspires them, so that they're, something I forgot to mention earlier when I was talking about music education is the self-expression piece, which is so important, and maybe the most important is how you have those opportunities for your emotions, whether they're celebratory emotions or especially the really difficult ones. So I think prioritizing the kids' self-expression is something that we're trying to practice at Music Haven, and getting that out into the community is definitely a great way to share that.
That's absolutely incredible. It's amazing. And for those who don't know, classical music has also brought forth some of the coolest moments in today's history. And if you don't believe me, you need to go to YouTube right now and look up Sir Mix-a-Lot performing, I believe, with the Seattle Symphony Orchestra of Baby Got Back. And if you've not heard Baby Got Back with a full symphony orchestra behind you, you're missing out on life. You need to find this clip. It is amazing. Just saying.
I also love seeing Lizzo perform with all Black women musicians when she's got her very orchestral things, and definitely the opportunities for people who have been traditionally left out. Those opportunities are growing as they should, and as they should have been there all along.
Annalisa, what are some of the biggest lessons learned personally just through teaching? And I know you talked about everything with music and combining different genres together and having these wonderful experiences, but how has teaching made you grown as a person?
I love this question. One of the ways it's definitely made me grow is increasing my understanding of how valuable different perspectives are. I am so lucky to meet these students one-on-one. We have one-on-one lessons, and I have 15 students that I see each week one-on-one, as well as in groups. And they all have such different personalities and different areas that are sort of naturally strong, or where they have to persevere a lot to work that muscle, that mental muscle. And developing my teaching to emphasize and celebrate the strengths in ways that then our stress goes down and we can approach the areas that aren't as strong with love and compassion. I have a sign in my studio that says mistakes are welcome and full of information. And that sign is like so much more for me than the kids. Like it's so easy for me to approach their mistakes with compassion and say like, this is learning. Like, thank you, Second Finger, for going to the wrong spot because you taught me I need to like spend more time with Second Finger. But then you see me in my own life and I'm like, oh my God, I missed this thing on my calendar. It's a disaster. So the other thing that I think can be super helpful from teaching is learning what lessons I also need to, you know, be a compassionate teacher to myself with.
Mm-hmm.
Teaching also is what first, you know, start increasing my awareness of inequality and prejudice and racism in our country, because I was teaching in the Salvation Army Kroc Center in Dorchester in Boston, teaching mostly, you know, young Black and brown students. And this one student, Danelle, she was in second grade. And I was like, this kid is me. Like, she is so excited. She's raising her hand all the time. She can't even stop herself from raising her hand. Like, very quick, loved the viola. And I was like, if this kid doesn't get the same opportunities I did, it's just a really deep injustice, because that little girl deserves everything that a young, you know, white suburban little Annalisa got, and Danelle deserves all that and more. And so that also helped start me along a path to doing a lot of reading and a lot of study and difficult conversations with myself and friends and family about how to try to approach the deep historical inequalities that are the foundation of this country and are still persisting, and try to figure out ways that I can like be in that questioning and continue to do a little better on anti-racism practice, or making my space safer or more representative, you know, little by little, just continuously.
Did you lose count how many times you've been a big sister to these kids?
Yeah, for sure. It's, as an only child, it's like the ultimate gift of my life to like have all of these, you know, young people around me. And my friend just got a thank you note from Music Haven and had this drawing in it that I had never seen. And it was like, you know, a little kid marker drawing. And it was from Jasmine, age 9. And my friend sent me this drawing and was like, is that you? And it's like a stick figure in a little dress with polka dots, and it's the teacher. And I was like, that's totally me. Oh my God, my student drew me. There's nothing like being in a stick figure portrait to know that you're appreciated.
That's amazing. Wow. No, it's amazing, and it shows the influence. I love that. That's awesome.
It really is awesome.
It really goes both ways. Yeah, and you know I'm a teacher because I can't take credit.
Yeah, I was about to say, like, I feel the same way too, because I'm honorary uncle to Easy's kids, and just like having conversations with them, playing around with them, learning from them makes me a better human being as well too. It's pretty much unexplainable, that connection you can just get with just being involved in a kid's life. I mean, and it doesn't matter what age that child is. It could be from 8 to 16 years old. Just no matter what push or no matter what inspiration you give that kid, it's just an incredible feeling. So like anybody, there's numerous programs in New Haven, just all over, where you can just get involved in a kid's life. I mean, even your little nephew or your little niece, you can get involved. I mean, it's just such a unexplainable, great feeling. It gives you a lot of so many words that are in my head that I really can't say right now, but if there are great words, I can go on and on, but Easy, go right ahead.
The best words.
Say something. Go right ahead, buddy.
Well, here's the thing, and this is what I really want people to understand about you, Annalise, and about what we're really talking about. You grew up in the Midwest. You grew up in a suburban home. You know, you started playing classical music. You thrived in it. You got a life in it. You easily could have gone and sat in some of these bigger scale orchestras, played your part, got paid, and moved forward. But you actively are engaging in communities that struggle because you see there is injustice and you're using your gift that you have honed and you work extremely hard for to make a difference. And it just goes to show you everybody can make a difference. Make your choices in your life that are bigger than you, because life is bigger than that single narrative of today I woke up, I made myself breakfast, you know? And I want to give you your flowers for that. And I really want people to understand how important that is. You know, they say change starts from within, and you made that change. And from the change you've made on yourself, you're able to foster that change for so many other people. And that is epically incredible and makes you a phenomenal human being that I am proud to call my friend and fellow cult member.
Thank you for those flowers. I appreciate that. One of the nice things about one of the nice things about that as well is that it really circles right back. Like some of those experiences with kids, like I feel good after a day of teaching. I might be tired and cranky when I show up to teach at 2:45, but by the time I'm done at 6:30, I feel so much better. Like I've had friends who will point out if I'm feeling sleepy at 2:30, they're like, "You love teaching." And I'm like, "Oh yeah, that's true." And by the end, it's always so obvious. And you know, science has shown us that having connection to a purpose is good for happiness. So not only is it good for the world, it's also helpful for the individual to feel like you're connected to something. And whatever hardship you go through in your life or at your job, because life and work, they always, you know, it's like death and taxes. Like, you know, you're going to have hardship and you know, you're going to have little things or big things that come up. But if you can put them into the context of there's a purpose to this, you know, it helps your brain find those, it just helps your brain keep going and feel like there's a reason for it. And that's good. It's a good thing to have as a human.
That is incredible. Unfortunately, we are starting to wind down in time because, you know, we're just getting to the meaty parts of, so obviously we have to break it up. But right now we want to give you this opportunity to share all your links, tell us everywhere we can get in touch with you, see how awesome you are, and maybe give people the link to how they can donate to Music Haven and maybe start making that change themselves.
For sure. Our individual donors are super appreciated. Foundations, government, sometimes they go through cycles, but individual relationships are something that we really thrive on. So yeah, Music Haven CT on Instagram, on Facebook, on Twitter, and then musichavenct.org is our website. There's a menu at the top with a donate here button if you're on mobile. I think if you're on desktop, there's just a donate right there on the homepage at musichavenct.org. And definitely click on our events tab to see all the stuff that the HSQ, the Haven String Quartet, and our other resident musicians are up to this year. We're getting back out there and performing for real live people, and that just feels so freaking good.
There we go.
Now I'm seeing that Music Haven CT page in front of me. There's an orange donate button upper right-hand corner. So there it is.
All right. That's what I'm talking about.
And come see Bomb Pop at the Rock Lottery on Friday. That's the unofficial plug. You got all the official plugs with Music Haven, but the unofficial plug is Bomb Pop, where I'm gonna be playing a bunch of cool covers, smushed together into narratives, and it's gonna be a good time.
Yeah, we can't wait, man. Halloween's coming up. It's probably like a silly question, but you know, I'm gonna shoot my shot with this. Are we gonna have like a School of Rock performance, like a Jack Back theme performance with you and the kids in the foreseeable future? Is that gonna happen soon?
That would be super fun. I'm gonna put that in the hopper. You know, it's with the cycle of our programming year. That's a seed planted, and we'll see when it germinates.
Gotcha. Well, Annalise, I just want to thank you.
Hold on. Before I want to volunteer to be that Jack Black.
I would pay to see that. I would definitely pay to see that. Yes.
Cool Rock fundraiser. Okay.
That's going to be a whole nother show to talk about. But Annalisa, thank you for being part of this show right here. Love having you. Love learning everything about your career and just your motives with the kids. And keep doing what you're doing. Keep doing good work.
Thank you for having me, and thanks for the great questions. It's a real pleasure to talk about this stuff with you.
Definitely. On WNHH LP 103.5 FM New Haven, myself, Prestige, with my partner in crime, Long Island Raised, Elm City Made, EZ Blues is in the building. Thank you so much.
Wondering what to write about, trying to figure out what it's all about. Existentialist, am I worth anything or just a discount? I don't know. Spending time all alone, sending my songs through the phone, dreaming of a better home while focused on trying to hone this craft, witchcraft. I hope the brujas let this last.
I don't know if the earth is painted